CBPD. Right. If we don't see BPD this month, then we will next month for sure. Welcome everyone. My name's Thom Drane. I am the chair of the Central Beaverton Neighborhood Association Committee, and this is our very, very late in the month September meeting. I'm going to read a little preamble here real quick, and then we'll go ahead and do introductions. The purpose of the Central Beaverton Neighborhood Association Committee is to act in an advisory role to the council and administration of the city of Beaverton on matters of importance to the CBNAC or the city, and to provide a forum for the involvement and participation for the greatest number of citizens. There are no dues or fees for NAC membership, and anyone who lives, works, owns property, or represents a nonprofit within the NAC border is a member already. The CBNAC's activities are civic and educational, and some of its goals are to bring about a maximum of exposure of ideas and plans that are formulated for Central Beaverton, such as development proposals and other land use issues, and to provide opportunities for input to the city through such avenues as the mayor, city council, city commissions, and staff of the city of Beaverton. We also try to encourage community activities, and the city of Beaverton has a matching grant program that we utilize to fund some of those. If you have an agenda item that you would like to have added to our next meeting, if you have any questions about the NAC, or if you have an idea for a community event or project idea, please see me after the adjournment of the meeting. I'm going to go ahead, once I'm done with this spiel, and add my email to the chat in case you need to contact me. I encourage you to send me a quick email during the meeting with your name and contact information, especially if you're not already on our mailing list, so that I can follow up with you. And additionally, yeah, your email will be used to send out periodic updates on the NAC and upcoming events in our neighborhood. So let me get the chat window up. But before we do, we'll go ahead and start going around and maybe doing some introductions, and I will allow our panelists open you up to talking here in a moment now too. There you go. You might need to do that. Tonight's question, since apparently we're due for a lot of rain very soon, we've been missing it. So, what's your favorite thing to do or place to go in the rain? And we'll start with our oncoming board member, Brian Negley. Didn't mean to call you out.
That's okay. That's fine. Now, a lot of you know I'm new to the area, so I don't have a favorite place to go in the rain. But in the rain, what do I like to do? I actually like to get my errands done and go shopping in the rain. For some reason, it just works out well. Stores are less crowded, streets are less crowded, and I've always managed to get a lot done. So that's maybe not my favorite thing to do, but that's certainly one of the things I like to do when it rains.
I always do that myself. We're going to go ahead and go through the rest of the board. And if you're a board member or officer, tell us who you are and what your role is. So Amanda Clark.
Hi, I am the recorder for the Central Beaverton NAC and also the community engagement manager for Beaverton Civic Theater. And I love the rain, like really love the rain. So everything in the rain, but I really love to try to get out to the coast when it's raining, because there's something really special about Oregon coast rainy days that are really amazing.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Jonathan Todd-Kourlas.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Todd-Kourlas, board member and the BCCI rep. I think my favorite thing to do in the rain is go on a hike through the forest.
Nice. We will go to John Duggar. Okay, we're experiencing.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
There we go. It's all Quinn's fault. John Duggar, vice chair, board member, obviously. And my favorite thing, Amanda stole mine, going to the coast. So I'm gonna say, I just like to open the window and listen to the rain and get that fresh air smell in your house.
Nice. All right, Quinn Simpson.
Yeah, hi there. Quinn Simpson, board member and treasurer. How is your favorite thing not jumping in the hot tub? We have a hot tub, and I love hopping into it in the rain. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Kevin Teater.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin. I'm the Executive Director of the Beaverton Downtown Association and a board member here. And a lot of people say that Portland or Beaverton or Oregon can never be a truly biking area because it rains too much. But sometimes it's actually fun to bike in the rain. Sometimes it makes you grumpy, but overall it's really good.
Agreed, 100%. Rachel Phillip.
Hi everyone, I'm Rachel Phillip. I am on the Sustainability Subcommittee of the SNAC, and I'll also be speaking on behalf of the Vision Advisory Board later. My favorite, I think I'm not a huge rain fan, but having a hot beverage somewhere and listening to the rain is really nice.
Fantastic. All right, the rest of our panelists, starting with LuLú Ballesteros Jones.
Hi everyone, LuLú THPRD. I'm gonna go for opening up a window and going to my couch with a wonderful book and something warm to drink.
Fantastic. All right, Franziska Rose Elliott.
All of the above. Definitely indoors, fireplace, warm beverage there.
Brilliant. All right, we'll go through our attendees. So all of you, including now our call-in, should be allowed to talk. You may need to unmute yourself before talking. So Dick Nichols, you look like you're already unmuted.
Good evening. I just kind of sneak in here, so representing the BDA, see what Kevin is up to.
Somebody's got to keep him
on
top of his game.
Somebody's got to watch after him. But I've been around the Northwest for a long time, so when it rains, I just like to go out and walk between the raindrops.
Nice. All right. Thane Howard, an attendee.
Hi.
Welcome.
I'm just here to attend. It's been a while.
We're glad to have you.
Find out what's going on in my
Sure.
In my neighborhood.
You bet. Anything you look forward to about the rain or like doing in the rain? We're about to get a lot of it.
I just put in a new deck, and I'm enjoying it too much.
Oh.
So.
Cool. Fantastic. Well, welcome. And we will finally go to our call in. I don't see a name, but I do see a number, 503-364. That's a lot more numbers than it looks like there should be. No, 503-641-6519. So you may be muted, and I think you need to do *6.
*9, I think it is actually, and then
do?
*6, raise hand. I always get them mixed up. You'd think I'd have
but this is Fran Miller.
Oh, hey, Fran.
I can't get you on Zoom, so I'm just on the phone.
Oh, okay. Well, we're glad to have you regardless.
Thank you. I'm glad we're not having to water gardens when it's raining.
Hey, that's brilliant. Saving some water. Yeah, I like to do a lot of the same things. One of my favorite things to do is to go for a bike ride or a hike in the rain and then come back, have a hot shower, and a warm beverage. I will ride in the rain for hours as long as it's not windy. Riding in the wind is the worst thing ever. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us. And we have fairly light agenda this evening, and we may be missing at least one of our stakeholders. So I know that we will be at the end, we're going to have a little bit longer discussion on the events side, because we are trying to plan something for later in the year. So anyway, if BPD joins us, then we will have time to slot in Officer Bowen. But otherwise, we will go straight to LuLú with our THPRD update. Although she may have stepped away. Oh, there she is. Okay.
I have a slow computer today.
Oh, well, it happened.
So what I have for you all today is that we have the call out for THPRD advisory committees. We have nature and trails, parks and facilities, and programs and events. I will share the link on the chat once I'm done sharing with you all. We also have the fall native plant sale going on at Tualatin Hills Nature Center. Great feature that we have this time is that you can also order online. We're hiring for different positions, also sharing that link on the chat. And something that's very exciting is that maybe you all know this is Beaverton's welcoming week, and we have 2 activities which are welcoming walks happening this Saturday and Sunday. One is in Greenway Park, and the second one is at the HMT complex. Also sharing that link, which is basically our events site. We have something that everybody very excited about. It's a drive-in movie. It's the end of our summer series. It's a free open event. You do have to RSVP since it's in your car. Also available on our events website. And we just announced, we received an award just today for our visioning process. It was recognized by the Public Involvement Project of the Year. And also it's called the Core Values Award for Respect for Diversity, Inclusion, and Culture. Also sharing that link if anybody wants to find out a little bit more about what that's about. And information that we have coming up late September, but it's important for all of you to know. We have a senior giving campaign, which is providing passes for our 55 and better community members. We have the installation of a pilot traffic safety playground at Channing Heights Park. More coming up on that, and our Halloween events also at our events site. That's what I have for you all today. And I had some homework from last time for passing along a few items from the Portland Sunday Parkways idea to Beaverton Swim Center, not overwatering the grass, and other items that I passed along. So I'm here if you have any questions or if there's something else that I can pass along.
All right. Floor is, yes, John and or Quinn.
Were you unmuted? Yeah.
Yes.
I think this question has probably been asked 1,000 times. So I'm really sorry if I haven't paid attention. What is the construction by Evelyn Schiffler Park? Like I see them working.
I can answer that. That is the staging for the sewer, the Erickson Main project.
It is that, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with the park. Got it.
To my knowledge.
I feel like I've heard. I kind of knew that answer, but I feel like I wasn't sure. So I've personally probably asked that question like 4 times. So sorry about that. Thanks for indulging me.
That's okay. And really, the only reason that I know is because the front of my house is also staging for the sewer work.
Back by you, yeah. I saw.
And
that.
the contractors are currently working in my backyard too. So
yes.
So I know some people.
Surrounded.
Yes, Kevin.
So LuLú, I see on City Council agenda tomorrow night, there is a discussion item regarding a downtown parks study between the city and THPRD. I think this group would really benefit from being involved with that in the future when that's ready. Do you mind giving a little bit of information about that from what you might know?
I don't have information, but my supervisor, Holly, she's been working on that. So I'll ask her for a little sneak peek and then maybe doing a presentation or just sending more information our way.
Thank you. Yeah. And I'll put a link in the chat for anybody who wants to look at that more.
Thank you, Kevin. Are there, let's see, are there other questions or comments for LuLú and THPRD? Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I can't wait to hear about all the great fall and Halloween events that I'm sure will be rolling in next month.
Adding information to the chat links.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, well, then moving on to a BCCI report with Jonathan Todd-Kourlas.
Hello again. Yeah, a couple things. We had a couple presentations from the planning manager. So one of those is they're doing a tree code audit project. So they're auditing the city's policies and regulations in regards to trees. One important thing that this project is not to change any rules or regulations. It's just kind of to look at what it is compared to other cities. I believe they had a consultant come in to look at it and give them steps. And then this will like flow into a project to actually change things. Because as we all know, the rules are pretty light on trees in the city. And I will put a link to the project's website in the chat. You can provide feedback and read it about a little more. Another project is a shelter code. So they're working on, I believe, just like the code of where shelters can be built and placed. Currently, the city does not allow, nowhere in the code it allows a year-round shelter. So obviously that is not good. It doesn't fit into like the long-range plan of what the city would like for an emergency, severe, and a permanent year-round shelter. I will also put in a link to that project. And then lastly, I hope you all watched the Voters Forum. It happened last Thursday. It was last week. And I will post the link to that on the city's website, which has the video on YouTube, so you can watch. It has the 2 city councilors. Maybe you all voted already, but you can still learn more. And that's all I got, unless anyone has any questions.
Ballot to do by the 20th. I think the ballot drop box is already in the library. I got a quick question for you, Jonathan, because I know that the presentation 2 and feedback from the Traffic Commission had gone on back in like July. Was there any new information about that, or was there anything that came up during the more recent meetings?
Yes, I'm glad you asked because I forgot about that. They did, and the Traffic Commission changed the voting process to 51%, and they are omitting non-returned votes. So those are no longer no votes. And I think that is pretty much the goal of that, what everyone wanted, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're kind of underselling that a little bit. That's a very major change, and so well, kudos to BCCI for taking that through. And Kevin, you have a question and/or you would like to add?
Yeah. Awesome news, Jonathan. Thank you. I think it'd be great if we could have a few minutes, either at the end of this meeting or at the next meeting, to talk about what opportunities that process change might bring up with traffic calming. Just because I'd hate for it to be like, yay, we changed it, but then not actually attack anything now. Like, this is a good chance. And then my second point is regarding Jonathan sharing about the tree code audit. They did share that with Planning Commission, and it was very helpful and interesting information, even if you don't really care that much about tree code. It's put in a format where it's pretty easily digestible. So I would encourage you all to look at it, and if they are accepting feedback still, please give it.
Quinn and/or John.
Hey, it's John. I was going to say, I've been pushing the city really hard for both of those things, the tree audit and the traffic thing. So number one, this is like the best news. If for some reason anyone speaks with I think it's Dan, that he's interviewed a few of us for the trees, the tree conversation. I'm personally, and I would love it if people would help with this. I'm trying to push it. If you think about trees as a policy for right now, it's largely defensive in nature, and that it's in the development code. That's what it is, right? Like trying to mitigate loss. There's nothing policy-wise that the city has said that we want to increase tree canopy, right? And that's what I'm trying to get them out of this, just a development conversation, because that's always going to be inherently defensive in nature, and start thinking climate, proactive. Let's actually formally adopt a policy that says that we want more trees and that we're going to actively invest in tree canopy and urban forestry within Beaverton. And if anyone else gets interviewed, or it would be lovely if we had more community members pushing that same thing. Trees are some of the first things we notice when we come out here, and I don't want to just keep fighting on defense. I want to grow grow our canopy as a matter of standard policy, right?
Absolutely, I agree entirely. I think that some of the avenues that are not that have come up but aren't always, as you said, usually this is defensive. We're trying to preserve the trees rather than encourage. And the more recent research that's been done about public health and tree correlation to tree canopy, as well as social equity. I mean, it's also public health equity that goes along with it. Is it seems to be another front that could be pushed to, the city has stated some goals that they would like to achieve, and this is one way to move those goals forward.
For sure.
And I know it's not an argument that I've seen a lot in the policy sphere.
Yeah. No, I'm pushing really hard. So anyone else, please push to also, when we look at climate, climate's not getting cooler here. And it's gonna, when it was 117 degrees, it was about 95 in the shade, which is still crazy, crazy hot. But if you're outside, like that's, for younger, healthier people, maybe that doesn't matter as much, but if you just happen to be walking outside and you get caught in a moment where it's hot, like that could mean people with congestive heart failure or just issues in general. Shade can literally mean life or death. And so don't want to be dramatic there, but it's not going to get cooler over the next couple decades, and the trees don't grow big overnight, right? So let's
that's absolutely, that event is kind of what is foremost in my mind. I know that I haven't seen one for Washington County, but Portland had there were, I think, some PSU climatologists or ecologists that went and did a survey, site-by-site survey of temperatures in neighborhoods, and the cooler temperatures were correlated with higher
30 degrees
with canopy, and then with socioeconomic status. And so it was literally more dangerous to be in a place that with less tree covered.
Thank you for indulging me. It's been a passion project for years.
Totally.
Both of those things, so.
And it's so easy. It seems like it should be so easy, right? It's trees. Anyway.
Everybody loves trees.
When you walked away a second ago, and Kevin was suggesting that we talk about it a little bit at the end too, the traffic calming stuff.
Yeah. So we've got time at the end. We're pretty light on the agenda. So if people are amenable to sticking around, then there's a few different things opportunities to discuss. Jonathan, you have your finger pointing at me.
Yeah. I just wanted, sorry. Importantly, I don't believe it's been passed by the city council yet. So they still have to approve it.
Gotcha.
From the traffic calming.
There's, from what I had heard from other BCCI, there was pretty broad support from councilors and the mayor. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it didn't seem like it was going to be particularly contentious.
I don't think so. And I think with the traffic commission passing it, I see it going.
Sure. Is there a do you know when it's coming up on their agenda? We could very easily put in just another letter of support to bug.
I don't. I'll try to find out though.
Okay, if you do, if you know, especially if it's coming up in the next, one of the soon sessions, or if it's just something that's going to happen before end of the year, then we can definitely express official support for that change. Cool. All right. Then we will roll right into Franziska Rose Elliott and the city update.
Thank you so much, Tom. My name is Franziska Rose Elliott. I am the staff liaison to this lovely NAC. I realized after I was talking about hot beverages and fireplaces, I didn't even tell you who I am, which was the whole point of the introduction, but I digress. Just so you know, I just was sending a message to Miles and Lanny trying to get some more information about the traffic calming updates, because that obviously is big news. So very exciting. So hopefully I'll have some more information to share shortly. But in terms of city news for September, so first things first, help us mitigate the COVID-19 surge. So we are witnessing dramatic increases in local COVID-19 cases as hospitalizations in Washington County and throughout the state soar due to the Delta variant. Latest data and projections show continued escalations, which are expected to further strain our healthcare providers, medical facilities, and other resources. All right, so vaccines. Accessing available vaccines is recommended as our best defense against the virus, including the Delta variant. Vaccine information is available at www.co.washington.or.us/vaccine. And I'll put all the links in the chat in a minute here. For questions and language assistance, call 1-833-907-3520. In terms of testing, anyone experiencing symptoms or who has been exposed to the virus can get tested. Testing sites and location information also is available on Washington County's website at www.co.washington.or.us. In terms of masks, statewide mask requirements are in effect for everyone in Oregon 5 and older. Masks are required in most outdoor public spaces where 6 feet of distance cannot be maintained, and in all indoor public spaces. Distancing and safety. We all need to do our part to slow the spread of the virus, maintain 6 feet of distancing, practice good hygiene, and stay home when sick. Events and outdoor gatherings. Limit gathering outdoors with people outside of your household and avoid crowds, especially where people are unmasked. And learn more, visit the Washington County website at www.co.washington.or.us/COVID-19 for latest information and resources, including for childcare, paying bills, and getting food. City resources are available at beavertonoregon.gov/coronavirus. And remember, face coverings are required when visiting all city buildings, including for visitors at both library locations. And Jonathan so graciously already talked about the Fall Voters Forum. I'll just give a couple extra tidbits there. So election date is September 21st. Like Jonathan said, you can watch the Voters Forum, which, if I do say so myself, was pretty awesome. So if you haven't watched it already, certainly a super quality Voters Forum. It's only an hour. The video is available on the website. So definitely go check that out. And then voters will need to mail their signed ballots no later than Wednesday, September 15th. After this date, voters will need to drop off their signed ballots at official collection sites to meet the election deadline. And like Jonathan said, drop-off sites are available. There's a super convenient, handy one right next to the main library. You can just pull into the pullout, drop your ballot off in the drop-off box, and continue on your way. So couldn't be any easier. But all ballot drop-off sites can be found at www.co.washington.or.us/elections. And last but certainly not least, and I know Rachel will talk way more about this and probably better than I can. So last is the visioning survey. But in the interest of letting Rachel talk all about it, I will just say more to come. So Amanda, I'll forward that email to you right now. And that's all I've got for you tonight. If anybody has any questions.
Go for it, Kevin.
So Franziska, I was not able to watch the Voters Forum. I've got the link open, but it says the video is unavailable on the website. Earlier today when I checked, it wasn't there at all. So at least there's a space for it.
Yes. So give me just a second. I've been working with TVC TV to get the video up all day. There was a slight technical, there was a microphone glitch at the very beginning of the Voters Forum that they're trying to figure out how to address in the recording that's going up. So let me just double check here, because I had just, and you are correct. It does say the video is unavailable. This is now like the third version of the video.
Oh shoot.
Anyway, so it will be up tomorrow. That is what I can tell you. It will definitely be up tomorrow. So thanks. first thing tomorrow. But if you're watching TV, it will definitely show at 10 p.m. tonight if you want to stay up late. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's so late.
I know it is so late. I'm definitely in bed by then. But yeah, sorry about that. I will definitely take out that in bed so that nobody else goes to the website and sees that it has been taken down to be refreshed. Thank you for letting me know. Any other questions?
I see John and or Quinn.
Hey, I totally would not even saying this. It's more of a comment. Like, I think it's a miss on the city's part that we're even having a special election. I think it's a ridiculous miss, both from a candidate's perspective, regardless of who your candidate is, having them run 3 elections essentially in less than a year time period, because there was the May, then there's the runoff, and then these seats will be open again in May of next year. I think it's an unfortunate waste of taxpayer money. It's in my opinion, a consequence of a rushed city charter process. And it is difficult from a candidate's perspective to raise money for 3 elections without being ultra wealthy or connected. So I think the city should probably think about situations that arise where we have elections that close together, of eliminating the majority requirement and just, having whoever gets the highest vote can serve in the interim period. Because from a budget perspective, things are not as bad as other places, and that's good. But things aren't, we always have other needs. So I think it's a miss on the city's part. Having said that, please everyone turn in your ballots, because the worst thing that we can do is spend all this money and not participate. And it's from a candidate's perspective, turn them in earlier, because they get reports to see. And if you want them to stop bothering you, they don't know who you voted for, obviously, but they know that you will have voted. And it's super helpful from a candidate's perspective to knock off voters off the list. So that just I just felt like I need to put that out there, and I hope the city will consider changes to that in the future.
Thank you, John, for that.
I will get off of the soapbox.
No, it's okay. For anybody that thinks their vote doesn't count, it really, in the last election, it was, I can't remember the exact difference of what it would have made
100 votes
over the line. It was like around 100 or 200.
Yeah.
It was
214 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
anyway,
your vote matters. Turn in your ballot. Pretty, please.
Pretty, please.
I missed the council meetings where they were discussing this. They had the option to appoint a interim counselor. What was the argument for going through with the election?
I couldn't tell you what the rationale was. I know that there is one. I just don't actually remember what that conversation was specifically around why the choice was made that was made.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So this is definitely on the council, not, there was an option to appoint a interim counselor that would then be up for re-election, but they chose to hold the election. So anyway, anything else for Franziska and the city? Okay, in that case, we will go to officers' reports, starting with Amanda, and I will go ahead and say that Amanda was waiting on for August minutes to complete with a treasurer's report. So we're going to go ahead and table August meeting minutes until October, and we'll approve those with September in that case. Was there anything else, Amanda? Cool. Quinn, do you have a treasurer's report for September?
I do. So the starting balance, previous balance was, looking at the statement. You're good at that. So we have 2 accounts. We have checking and savings. In the checking account, we had a previous balance. I'm looking at the wrong statement. Sorry.
This is partially my fault. I gave him a project literally the hour before this, and at like 6:58, he was like, "Oh no, I've got to sign off or sign on to do this." So
apologies. I'm just going the digital route. I thought the analog paper route wouldn't fail me. Okay, so we had a beginning checking balance of $8,515.40. And then get a calculator. And then in our savings,
what was the beginning balance again? 8,500.
8,515.40.
Okay.
And then this savings was $304.87. And we wrote 2 checks in August. Ooh, I can hear myself.
Can you repeat the savings balance, please? I think there was some back.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, Fran, I'm gonna mute you at the moment just so we don't get any feedback while we're getting the numbers here.
Yeah, the savings account was $304.87. So a total of $8,820.27. And then we wrote 2 checks for the matching grant programs in August. One for $2,765. And that was for the mask towards mask al fresco. And then we wrote another check for $3,000. And that was 2D40.
Yeah, that's the sure.
So we've got a current balance in checking of $2,750.40. So I think we need to get, or actually, Thom, do you have an update on reimbursement for those 2?
I do not. I know that Miles had needed an invoice from 2D40, which I believe he got, and he should have all the invoices for Mask al Fresco. So I can follow up with him and see if he knows where the reimbursements are.
Cool. Let me know if I can help with anything. Amanda, sorry, I kind of spoke fast. Did you get all the balances, numbers?
If you wouldn't mind, would you type them into the chat just so I make sure I got them all?
Yeah, there you go.
I got the grant checks though.
Cool.
Great. Thank you very much, Quinn. I know we had Quinn was great about getting a couple of checks on short notice to our stakeholders who were our grant applicants, so that they could have their events on the same days, pretty much over the same weekend. It was a very busy weekend with Mask al Fresco, the Chalk Art Festival, and the night market, which kind of happened in the middle of both of those. So anyway, kudos to everyone. Fantastic. Are there any questions for, I guess, the treasurer's report or about minutes? Okay. In that case, we will move on to Rachel Phillip, who is going to tell us about the Visioning Advisory Board.
Hey everyone. Yeah. So yeah, I'm also on the Visioning Advisory Board. Amanda is also on it. So Amanda, if you want to jump in with anything, feel free to do so. So what the Visioning Advisory Committee does every 5 years is we work to identify what priorities are most important to the Beaverton community. And the Beaverton community is people who live here, people who work here, people who have like any significant interaction with Beaverton. So it's not restricted to just people who happen to live here. Once those priorities are identified, that assists us in creating a plan that will then determine where budget dollars go, what projects the city moves forward with, and what staff and volunteer time go to. So the VAC is starting off their 2021 community visioning process. The goals that have previously come out of the visioning process or the themes, I should say, are building community, expanding public services, creating a vibrant downtown, improving mobility, and enhancing livability. as we kick off this new process, we want to find out, like, are those still the main themes that people care about, or are there also other themes that have come up for people since we last did this this visioning process? So in the spirit of that, there is a survey you can take that I'm putting in the chat, and it is open till the end of September. And this is basically just a really broad questions to kind of get a sense of like what is on people's minds and what people find important about what they want to see from Beaverton. And this process is really this is sort of like an initial survey, and it'll help us guide what kind of questions the VAC wants to follow up with. So if you have time, please take the survey. Please share it widely. I think the last time I heard, we had like at the beginning of the month, we had like about 300 respondents, and we would love to get as many as we can, so we get a good snapshot of what Beaverton wants to see from its from the city. We have a little bit, so that's the basic overview. We will be reporting back, and as this process continues, I think the process is we're planning on gathering responses probably for a few months here. This is the initial one, but we'll be reaching out to the community more as this project goes forward. So one of us will probably be back at the SNAC asking for more feedback. And if anyone, I see Quinn and or John put out climate resiliency as something they want to see. If anyone wants to share any other big topics that they want to make sure that is a top of mind for what Beaverton is doing, we can also take those back to the VAC and add those in.
Cool. Do you have, okay, that's the link to the...
Yep, yeah, so in the
survey?
chat, yeah,
Fantastic.
That's the survey.
Fantastic. Did you have anything else?
No, that's the main pitch.
Okay.
And again, like we're happy to also come back and facilitate more brainstorming sessions if that is something the NAC is interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you answer this question? How frequently do they do this visioning reassessment?
Every 5 years.
Okay, 5 years.
Yeah, so I think 10 years ago was like one of the first ones.
Okay.
And they kind of did a refresh 5 years ago. And the committee now wants to kind of take a step back and kind of like reassess rather than just doing a refresh, kind of get a sense of, are these themes still the right themes for Beaverton? And is this still what people want to see from the city? And I will say just one more time, like, as far as like what the city is doing, like I have heard that like if a theme and a project gets called out in the action plan that eventually is developed, that does help staff to like actually get money and get time to work on those things. So it is something that actually does have impact. It's not like a report that just gets put on everyone's shelf and never looked at again.
Gotcha. Quinn and or John.
Hey, sorry, I was gonna call out one thing I've noticed. So doing a lot of biking lately. And maybe Kevin, you've noticed this too, maybe not, I don't know, maybe it's something I'm looking for, but it's interesting the context of what e-bikes are doing with the biking population in general. Even in the last year or so that I started biking and cycling, I would say the age range of cyclists is broadened significantly. We're seeing a lot of different types of people riding, not just cycle bros and cycle sisters anymore. And the reason I bring that up is this might be one of those moments in time where it's you have kind of the pandemic has created conditions where people feel safe cycling and felt a catalyst to create that moment for them to do that. And maybe we'll see some lasting change. The reason I bring this up for the visioning advisory is a lot of the areas are pretty awful as far as connections, not just a bike lane, but just, you know, like for people like me that are going to cycle anyway, I'm going to go there regardless. But for these marginal or newer to the kind of cycling area, you know, it's going to be a little more difficult. And this might be an area for the city to look at and be pretty aggressive quickly, because I'm super excited by seeing so many different people out, and it is like significant increase in the amount of people cycling now. And I mostly ride in Beaverton and Hillsborough. You know, my loops are like this constantly. So I think this might be a timely, you know, a way for us to address some long-term things and some short-term things within this plan. I know the city has an active transportation plan. I haven't seen any movement in that really, or very little movement since 2017 or 18 when it was passed, frustratingly for people like me. But I also think, you know, if we go from, you know, a few hundred hardcore riders to a few thousand and growing, maybe that's the right moment for us to really start investing in making cycling not so dang hard for people. And now I'll get off my second or third soapbox of this meeting.
Yeah, that's great. That's great feedback to have. Is there anyone else who wants to share anything about when you think of living here, like what do you see as one of the most important topics we can be talking about? We have a few minutes, I think, in the agenda still.
We do have a few minutes, yes.
I'll throw out something.
Do it.
Living here down in the Vos neighborhood now, I'm hearing a lot about like the 217 project that'll add auxiliary lanes, and that's $100 million plus that are being invested in this few mile corridor. And I think about the sort of funding and I'm like, man, what could our city do if we had more imaginative relationships with ODOT about transportation? Like a greenway is like $1 million per mile. Like if every dollar of that went into greenways, we'd have 100 miles of greenways throughout Beaverton. I think that there are more financially and environmentally prudent, might be the right word, ways that we can spend money and partner with other governmental organizations. So I don't want us to limit our visionary thinking to what Beaverton is doing. Like, how can we work really well with other organizations like Metro, Department of Transportation, Washington County, like places like that?
Yeah, that's a great call out. And even though this document kind of talks about like really guides like city staff and like what city staff, like how they basically get dollars and time, there are partners that get called out, and like how can we better partner with other organizations to make things happen. So I think that's a great one to add.
I like that too, especially ODOT, because if I'm understanding it, when we think about other programs like the loop, like with Farmington and Canyon, it seems like those are the blockers to the creativity that's necessary because of the relation, or partly because of relationships like ODOT, where we just have this mental block where we're like, oh, we can't touch those areas. So I like that idea of working on our relationships from multiple angles that impact programs that we know are already in the works.
Even with the THPRD, right? I mean, look at the Fan Oak, how many people go down the existing greenways, and I think they're mostly, if not all, ran by THPRD now, the West Side Loop and the Fan Oak Creek and all that. And like, what an amazing transportation, not just park, right? Like those are amazing transportation assets for our community. And maybe there's some opportunity for the city through a visioning process to align with long-term capital planning with our parks district, right? And that's a great call out, Kevin.
Yeah, and I would kind of add to that as we see sometimes I hear different areas being talked about as almost separate things. They're not, we talk about transportation, we talk about greenways, but not necessarily how they fit into development. How are we developing our neighborhoods with an idea so that we can limit the amount of high volume traffic corridors that we need. So I know from my understanding of what the city's current vision is, for example, the vibrant downtown area, we've got a burgeoning restaurant row. We've got a new project in the works about how to tie this area together as a transportation corridor. And there's development that's going on along. But I'm seeing still, it seems a little bit of segmentation. I don't know how much planning is talking with Metro to encourage, they'll say, look, we have a bus line here. So we can increase the density, but bus lines can change, the service frequency can change. We would like to induce demand for more bus lines for greater, and I don't know how much of a holistic vision there is in bringing some of these things together. I know the mayor has talked on it a little bit, where there's, they want to have a nice, large, desperately needed senior housing development, where they want people to be able to be local. And there's no, as she pointed out in the open house that they had, there is no place for them to walk and, for example, buy a small amount of groceries. And the city is working on encouraging those types of relationships and that type of development. But it's I haven't seen that. And again, this may just be me not having looked enough into the downtown design project and some of the code changes, but I haven't seen from the city how a vision for how that can go forward outside of downtown. It would be nice to see that happen in downtown, but then also start to fill in Murray Hill or Cooper Mountain as that becomes developed, so that people can have an area that is transit connected, but also has enough services that they don't have to be driving to Hannesbourne or Murray Shoals, and so that we can maybe alleviate some traffic things before they become problems, and that would be tremendous to me.
Yeah, those are all great. I don't want to, I know we have other things to get to, so I will just say again, check out the survey, share the survey. It closes at the end of September, so you have a couple weeks to put in your responses there.
And thank you for bringing this to us, because obviously there are a lot of people here who are have great ideas and are willing to share them, and I'm sure there are lots of other people who are great and even better ideas, and who now know who to take them to. So.
Thanks for not only for presenting tonight, but thanks to you and Amanda both for representing this group. And this is the shiny part where we just get to complain to you guys. You guys have to do all the work. Thank you so much for putting in time that I know you guys had plenty of other things to be doing, and making sure that all of this is represented. So thank you, genuinely.
Fantastic. All right, so we'll go ahead and roll on to that into subcommittee reports. I know since we do have a little bit of light on the agenda, we were going to take some time on the event side. So we'll go first with arts. Do you guys have anything?
Not currently, but I'm really excited to hear what you have in mind for events and how we can add art.
Oh, so am I. And I'm actually there should totally be some opportunity. Is there anything? I saw the MOU go to THPRD for their representative design, but is there anything else from sustainability?
Nope, not at this time.
Okay. I got a question for you really quick. Are you waiting for THPRD to start talking about scheduling? Or has there been any discussion of what a is it still just the vague kind of winter 22? Is,
Yeah. As
okay.
far as I know, that's all I've heard at
Okay.
this.
No problem. And just in terms of being able to promote at things like the farmers market and whatnot, if there's a way to start narrowing down that date, if you guys are meeting, then it could make some of that, some of the outreach stuff. Give us a timeline for what we need.
Yeah, I can reach out and see if we have any more narrow dates or times that we're
Cool.
going to go for.
This is sort of tangentially related, but our neighbors to the south, Highland, are doing a tree planting event very similar to the one we're going to do in Schiffler Park.
Okay.
On November 14th, that we've all, I told Reggie I would let you guys know, we've all been invited to, because they're actually
cool.
planting really close to the new public safety center.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty much at our border. So they're going to add basically the areas Highland Way, Allen, Hall, and Barlow, a big square. Like they got a bunch of homeowners. They're actually planting trees in the kind of area between the sidewalk and the street. They've kind of went around to homeowners and the NAC is going to subsidize the trees.
Oh, cool.
But that's November 14th at 1 p.m. And I'll get more details if anyone's interested. They're going to plant 25 trees and they have 10 people signed up so far. But if you're interested in planting trees or just seeing these events in person before we do ours, Schiffler Park, that would be a great, I intend to be there and I would encourage anyone to show up.
Yeah, totally. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and throw that on the calendar right now. That is very cool. It would.
Yeah, and I'll have more information for you all next month on the exact like time and place. And I just know it's between 1 and 4, and I don't know where they're meeting. I think it's a park, but I'll figure that out.
Cool. Fantastic. Well, thank you for that. And yeah, whatever you guys move on, because what I will go ahead and, Quinn, before we get to the holiday thing, let me just give a quick couple of updates. One piece of old business, just wanted to let you know that I did submit a letter to City Council about the open air recovery plan. I left it after some conversation with stakeholders. I know that I had a conversation with John as well about some people's concerns about the policy as it was being implemented. I left it as a very general letter of support for the process and to encourage them to be very inclusive of the capabilities and opportunities that the different people that are going to be affected, businesses that will be affected. But I did get feedback from the city that was taken under consideration. And then secondly, I did put an appearance being hosted by Kevin at the BDA table at the night market. We had some interest from people who were walking by, and unfortunately there were only about 3 of them who were in Central Beaverton. Some were very close that we encouraged to come and participate, and others were interested in the neighborhood program in general, so we got to talk that up a little bit. And some may have just not, they may have been in unincorporated Washington County, just on the other side of the street from Beaverton. But there seemed to be some good good feedback. But what that did lead me to, and this is something for consideration, I think, for the event that we're going to be doing, however we want to promote the tree planting, is I did not really have the outreach materials ready to make maybe the best use of that. So something going forward that we either as the events or whomever, if you've got experience writing copy or having information about doing outreach, then I appreciate whatever resources you have. I know it was a little bit difficult because we were just there promoting us rather than us doing something, and it's much easier to promote, this is the event that we're doing, come and join us, rather than we talk about what's going on in the community and land use, come and join us. It's not the always the easiest thing. But there are people that they're out there and they're interested and they're they appreciate what we're doing, and we've got some people here joining us tonight that maybe haven't joined for a while. Thank you, Thane. And my apologies. I believe Noella Painter, I think you joined after introductions, but we'll have the meeting open to visitor comments and announcements if you want to have anything to bring up towards the end of the meeting. With that being said, one of the other nice things that came up at the night market was chatting with CC Ritter from the neighborhood program, and they were basically the office that ran the night market. And I said, hey, what else you guys doing? She said, well, I need to start organizing the tree lighting, which I am still waiting for confirmation that it will be happening. Miles did not have any information for me yet. But once I said, hey, CBNAC would like to help out however we can, or do something in partnership, she immediately told Miles to, hey, go start coordinating with them. So Quinn and I met to discuss some things at the end of last week, and we've got a couple of ideas to get started with. And Quinn, I don't know if you want me to present those or if you want to lead that, but we wanted to maybe take a little bit of tonight's meeting, since we had some time, to open it up to the rest of the board and the community to see if, in addition to what we've come up with or what's been done in the past already, if there was any other ideas how we could be involved with the kind of the holiday atmosphere in the downtown in the central Beaverton area. So Quinn, do you want to just lead the discussion on that, or do you want to run over the two things that we had discussed?
Yeah, so I guess from a high level, as Thom mentioned, specifically the tree lighting moment. So a specific moment is an opportunity for us, I think. And for those of you who've been involved in the past, it sounds like we have been involved as a NAC in the past. I think I'm understanding one year we had a booth set up, a table set up, and we were serving hot chocolate for the primary purpose of just creating awareness around CBNAC as a group to join. So however, I love this idea and kind of this general theme of focusing on potentially an upcoming separate event as a way to increase awareness and actually just show them what we're doing instead of trying to talk about what we're doing. So I would recommend that be kind of a red thread or just kind of lens for whatever idea generation we have during this time. I think another thing we had talked about as a few people's ideas was to kind of piggyback off of the lighting ceremony itself and rely on grants for additional lighting. So essentially, potentially creating a lighting boulevard.
The loop. The loop.
Exactly.
Christmas lights. I would love to do. I've been wanting to do that for years. All right, I'll shut it.
No, and another maybe just general theme to think about is, and Kevin, you might have more here or may know more about what's already happening, but just a way to kind of use that time and maybe the specific event of tree lighting to either support the local businesses here or attract attention towards them. So I guess kind of themes that we were from a high level thinking about were ways to obviously promote the NAC, ways to support the residents of Central Beaverton and Beaverton at large, and then ways to support businesses here. But wanted to just kind of open it up to a quick discussion around how we could support an event and either piggyback off of what we think might be happening. Again, everything's kind of a moving target, and open it up from there. What did I miss, Thom?
Nothing. I was just going to say kind of what when discussing with Miles, he hadn't received anything from CC other than the fact that I think that she was just excited that we were excited about participating and joining the city and doing something. And I remember John's suggestion about wanting to encourage a boulevard of lights And when I mentioned that to Miles, he said that, yeah, it would be very easy to get a grant together to, if a business, probably a business rather than residents at this point, because it's a little, that's that most of what's the frontage of the things around the library park kind of is, and where we would be wanting to have a loop of holiday lights, was it would be easy for us to write a grant for us to sponsor a business to have a professional light installation done. If they were willing to say, take care of the power bill, then we can pay for the rental of things. And what I wanted to come to this meeting with was to approach the people. I guess Dick is unfortunately out, but Kevin, obviously, if you know of businesses that are, I can think of some pretty obvious candidates of people who would be interested in potentially doing that. But it's always nice to have the opportunity to highlight people who are businesses who may not be the most obvious, who may need a little bit more exposure. So I would say at this point we can just kind of open it up to the to everybody, including board, any attendees who are around, and yeah, we'll have a little bit of discussion. So
What?
Kevin.
Oh, sorry.
You said there is, Miles thinks there are grants. Does Miles think there are grants through the city, or does Miles think there are grants just in general?
This would be matching grants. This
Oh,
would be
NAC grants.
NAC grants. So we
okay.
could get our own grant for us to work with a business, and his this was his suggestion, because I didn't even realize that there were companies that come and do professional light displays. But that was his suggestion, and that was just one suggestion to bring. We don't have to do that if that's why we're holding this brainstorming session.
Okay, thanks. I'll chime in with other thoughts, but Rachel or Quinn or John can go first.
Yeah, absolutely. Rachel, why don't we hear from you?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think at the minimum we should do a hot chocolate thing or something like that. But I do love the idea of doing doing the loop and lights, partly just to get people imagining what the loop is. I feel like people in the know talk about the loop, but especially because we do have that break between Canyon and Farmington, I feel like if we visually laid it out in lights, that would be pretty powerful to get people to understand oh, this is one place, not two places split by two different roads.
Right. And yeah, I know we're still waiting for word from the loop planners. They've got a difficult job, and it's showing in the fact that it's taking some time for them to come up with something that they want to start presenting to the public. So I didn't want to, and because of that, because it's kind of still an unfinished thing, we don't know even what this first iteration is going to look like. I didn't necessarily think that we were pushed too hard on it this year. If we could just get, if we could have the ability to branch out to at least a couple, one or two places to start to encourage this, buy-in from the rest of the community to start doing something like that, that was kind of what I was thinking. But yeah, eventually I think the loop just kind of, it makes sense to partner with the city and say, hey, we'll do our part to encourage participation. John?
Where my mind immediately went, and I don't think we can do the entire loop just because it's too big.
Right.
But I think we could do pretty much the Old Town section of the loop up to 5th. But what and obviously deck it out in lights. Lights are magical if you've never been to the city park at night at 9 p.m. in the winter. When those lights are on, there's kids playing. It's really interesting to see the amount of families that go down with their kids, and it's just been it's my favorite time of year. So, but second, I think back to my experience in Highland. I think it'd be great for us to not only do the lights, but for us to sponsor a holiday walk. if we do the loop, if we do like a Farmington or maybe 1st to 5th along Watson and Hall kind of loop of lights, we could set up, we could work with businesses to, set up booths or something, food, I don't know, whatever makes sense, and just have people experience the neighborhood by being out and walking and experiencing the lights.
Mhm.
And we could time it for the tree lighting ceremony. Walks are super cheap and affordable, but people really like them in Beaverton, right? We could encourage people to bring their kids and their pets and come out and experience our magical little neighborhood. And I think I'd definitely be down for that, and that'd be kind of a long-term vision.
Holiday pet costume contest.
Holiday, we did it in Highland, believe it or not, and we had 80 people show up with dogs dressed like spiders.
I believe it.
People loved it. It was super fun.
Especially because I have a feeling families are probably going to be kind of desperate for things to do, considering COVID is not going away and it's going to be winter.
Yeah,
That sounds
yeah.
great.
I mean, I think the likelihood that the tree lighting event will happen this year is probably higher, definitely, than last year, where the outdoor gatherings are still going on, and I think the attendance would probably be pretty good because there's still pent up demand for stuff to do, and it's just going to get higher around as the winter comes in. So yeah, what I'm I guess we can start. I don't know exactly about what the scope of decking out even the Old Town area would entail. I don't know if that's within the ability of a one grant to do, or if it's like an order of magnitude more than that. I really don't know. So I guess one of the first steps, if we want to start encouraging the like a boulevard of lights, is to look into what that is. And I don't know if this is where obviously the bigger the more buy-in we get from the community, and especially if there is some budget from the loop itself eventually. I don't know, there might be other city funds besides, as Kevin was asking, besides just neighborhood grants that would be able to cover this if there's some buy-in from the community and support from the community. But I think we're in the place where we still want to explore that first. So at the very least, what I can do is start contacting some professional lights companies and get quotes for just to get an idea, so we can take some action items away from tonight. But that idea for a holiday walk to tie into that is great as well.
I think the city should be able to provide a lot of, number one, we're not a contracting authority. So, I mean, the city's likely going to have to contract for that anyway, for any sort of businesses. So I would push Miles pretty hard to get us cost estimates, and maybe that's a city take the lead, but CBNAC sponsor and work hand in hand, but certainly empower I can't speak for everyone, but I think sounds like people are interested in that. Sounds like we could at least empower the event subcommittee to initially have those conversations to see what the magnitude would be and what our role would be, and what, if the city's interested in partnering with us on that, that would seem like to me would be step one. See if they because if they say, if you want to do it, you're on your own, then I think that's probably a little out of our grasp right now.
Sure.
If they're willing to partner with us, I'm willing to volunteer more of my time on the event subcommittee to help with you guys, because this would be a fantastic project. Yeah,
I mean, and some of it is also, do we want this to be should it be a city? Should we encourage the city to make it a thing? Please decorate this area with a boulevard of lights, or do we want to try and encourage it more organically? And we'll say, hey, let's encourage businesses, if they want to participate, to we'll facilitate their participation and try and let it grow organically, and say, maybe we don't do it all this year, but next year neighboring businesses would be interested. Hey, we saw Syndicate put up a bunch of lights, so we want to put up lights. Yes, Kevin.
Unmute. I'd be happy to help from the BDA perspective.
Right.
From the BDA side of things, like we've got some events between now and the end of November, but when December rolls around, like that's typically a little bit slower of a time for some of our volunteers. So I'd be happy to help with like some business connections.
Right.
I will say it really is beneficial to have somebody taking the lead and not have it be like just kind of organic and encouraging businesses to do something, because if it's just encouragement, most of them won't without some extra help, especially these days when it's like really, really hard.
Sure.
And everything is hard these days. So if there is something that Miles and his team can do, or Dan and the Loop team can give some more funding, like that'd be pretty interesting, and that could help make things like this much more feasible.
Yeah, I guess what I am kind of concerned about is eventually we would like to have a big destination display that's that's over and above, but maybe the city just needs to know that there's demand for that. But it would be I understand what you're saying from a business side. Obviously it's just encouraging that behavior isn't necessarily going to get people to do it unless they see some benefit from it. Obviously, if it makes sense that, hey, this is some good promotion. And what I'm more concerned about is not knowing what we can do with our own funding sources, which right now is our budget and matching grants. And we can write conceivably one grant for this. And I don't know what $3,000 gets us. If that's the display for one business, if that's the display for one block. Yeah, I don't want to start, assuming that businesses are going to do something. But that's why, looking to you, who is, the players that are interested in having a good public face and a good, are already participating with, or leading in the community as community partners. And yeah, I think we've got good ideas, and I'm just not sure what resources we have to deal with. So the first step, as John mentioned, would be to really ask Miles what is available from other parts of the city.
Yep.
So, but even with that said, we want to try. I mean, this is why we're having this conversation in September rather than in next month or November, because there's no way that happens. So there was definitely a seeing in the chat from Amanda that with hot cocoa, if we're looking to partner with the downtown business, what about a hot cocoa walk? So that's good. Yeah, what if there is an event, an actual destination, a tree lighting event, having a walk that ends there is good. I can see a number of different ways that we could have a cocoa booth, whether it be a walk. One of the things that I was considering was we go ahead and purchase, we contract with Ava or Lionheart or somebody who's already doing that. We purchase from them, and then we would resell as partially a fundraiser, maybe for a NAC budget, but also setting aside maybe even the majority for a local nonprofit like Home Plate. And that way we can do this kind of multiplying of effort here. So I don't know what which of these sounds more realistic, more engaging.
Did we run into any, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, floor's all open, so just chime
Yeah,
in.
I would just encourage the event subcommittee, of which I'm also volunteering. I know I've kind of half been there in the past, but let's come up with a recommendation for the board to consider, like a solid recommendation, get some information over the next month, come back to the board next month with a very specific ask of saying, you know, like, this is kind of what we empowered the subcommittee to do, right? And say, make some of these decisions and kind of come to us with the resource ask, and we will trust you to make that decision. And that would be what I would recommend. So because we could get bogged down all night, because this is all like my favorite stuff in the world. I talk about it all night, but I think I don't want to keep people awake.
Oh, I have one question just specifically about, so Rachel, the tree planting stuff, is there a rough date for that yet, or a season for it?
Yeah, we know that we want to do it in the first quarter of 2022, but we don't know further granularity on that.
Cool.
If we do know by the tree lighting, what we could do is also tie in. So I have like 13 basically baby Christmas trees that I'm hoping to give away to someone in the NAC. So like we could potentially like tie that in with like, hey, we're doing this tree planting and you can have a free tree if you want, potentially.
Yeah, no, cool. That timing might work out well then if it's happening in the first quarter of 22.
Yeah.
Also just by, if we could use that opportunity, whatever that event is, to get volunteers for the tree planting itself too. So just to promote that event. So use one event to promote another.
Just as a quick aside on that, if there's I mean, in terms of do you think that you might have an idea, a date by the, when is it? It's going to be, say, the third week of November?
Probably. Like I think the likelihood is much higher.
Okay.
You know, the further we get out, the likelihood is that.
Because I was hoping to table at the farmers market to promote that, and that's going to be basically the 19th is, or pardon me, the 20th is going to be the market before Thanksgiving, which is their last market of the fall season, and probably one of the bigger ones. So if we have some ideas about what's going on as well, we will have ideas about what's definitely happening at the tree lighting. So we'll have two events that we could be promoting at that. So that's just as an aside to that. So yes. So for takeaways from this evening, so that we can move on to our last business and not be here until 9 o'clock for a change. Besides contacting the neighborhood office to explore scope and funding potential sources.
If I may, because I had to be on a phone call with Lanny, so I stepped away. So I didn't get to hear all the exciting things you're obviously talking about that you now want to find out from the neighborhood office, what resources are available. Can somebody fill me in?
Who wants to recap?
Sure, I can go.
Okay.
So yeah, sorry, Franziska, I don't know exactly when you had to hop off, but so we were talking, this is the event subcommittee conversation. So we were talking about the opportunity to use the holidays as a time to throw an event to promote obviously the NAC, but also support Central Beaverton residents, larger Beaverton residents, and potentially businesses in downtown as well. We've heard a little bit about the potential for the tree lighting ceremony this year coming back. So that's an obvious one for us to piggyback off of, and we have been involved in the past. We had a booth, set up hot cocoa, but I think what we're leaning towards is the idea of post today, starting to put a more solid plan together around the idea of piggybacking off of the lighting that's happening, but potentially promoting the loop as a significant kind of future addition and attraction to the central Beaverton neighborhood, and exploring the idea of doing like a boulevard of lights that promotes certain areas or aspects of the loop. And then obviously piggybacking off of that, maybe doing a walk through it with the neighborhood, with the residents of Beaverton, maybe piggybacking hot cocoa off of that walk, in addition to having a booth that's specifically set up for the tree lighting ceremony if it does happen. And I think Amanda put it well, but the idea of doing something that lives on past just the tree lighting moment. And then also potentially using that opportunity to promote some of the things that the NAC is going to be doing near after that. So for instance, the tree planting that might be happening in the first quarter. So using that opportunity to promote that event and gain volunteers.
That all sounds super awesome. And I know Dan Turk would be super stoked. I'm not sure where things are going to be at. I think that'll probably be, as someone on the project team, I'm going to guess based on the timeline for engagement, that'll probably be after they've already developed the preferred alternatives, but you could still totally get people really jazzed about, the fact that transformation in the downtown core is something that, is on the horizon. And I definitely love the Boulevard of Lights idea. I know that Miles was talking about that in our staff meeting about how, we could have basically like a display that can be up for the entire holiday season that could really like bring people out and be an attraction, but also have this opportunity to weave in some, informational engagement kind of opportunities. So I'm here for it. You just let me know how I can help.
Cool. I had a previous conference. Well, Miles called me after I told Cece that, we would love to be involved with the tree lighting somehow. And then now it's up to us to figure out how. So with the scope, obviously the end goal that we would love to see is, a boulevard of a bigger holiday light attraction that helps in part bring people to the downtown core just to see that.
Sure.
The big local comparison is always Peacock Lane.
Sure.
What's terrible about Peacock Lane is one, the traffic throughput there is terrible, and then there's nothing to do over there.
Sure.
You're just on some residential street up a Stark.
Right. Yeah, I used to live not too far from there. And we do kind of have a little bit of a precedent for it now because of the Winter Light Festival that we did last year in COVID time. So I think that there's a way that we can take kind of bringing back, the tree lighting and weaving in elements of the Winter Light Festival that we did last year that people really loved, right? They really loved having kind of a tour of Beaverton with some light installations that they could go take some pictures at and get some festive whatever going on there. But I think that's a really great idea, and there's so much potential there in the downtown core.
I think what it really came to is the initial conversation that Miles and I had was something about the scale of a matching grant could be used to work with a business or two to sponsor a light display there, but that's a little small in scope for what we would like to end up seeing, and obviously what we would eventually envision the area looking is well beyond the scope of a single matching grant type situation. So that's where we were going to come to the rest of the neighborhood office, since there may be other funding sources. So I think we're going to need to start a conversation between the NAC, the city.
I think it's also larger than the neighborhood office, right? I think there's a real opportunity that we could align the events program, like the events kind of subcommittee of this NAC and the events program, and how do you coordinate and collaborate, because y'all have a lot of overlapping interests in what you're trying to achieve in the downtown core.
So we're here to help and or inspire and or I guess coordinate with the community to see what other resources that there would be for that. So
and Quinn, if I could like actually thumbs up your message, I totally would. I like found myself wanting to like go like hover over it and like try to find the thumb, but anyway.
Well, thank you for representing the city on that. It's good to know that there is in fact the kind of scope and resources potentially available. So, but in terms of action items to take away from this, obviously, Vince, we will meet sometime in the near future. But sometime before, at the very least, we'll meet one time before the October meeting.
What I might recommend is
Yep.
bringing Shannon Mason to the October meeting, because the October meeting would be enough time to really still get all the planning stuff. That's still like 2 months before any sort of tree lighting activity might be
Yep.
happening. But
Yeah.
I think I'm sure that I could invite her to the meeting, and I think that she would be stoked, get excited about activities.
Would it also be worth bringing Cece? Okay.
CC's on a like meta level of all of this. It would really just be Shannon. So but then she could really let you know. She would know, I mean, the neighborhood program could basically provide the monies, right, through the matching grant, but in terms of like aligning event things, that's where Shannon Mason would really come in.
Well, it sounds like we've got a few different conversations to have, probably even before October.
Tom, I think maybe we should do an initial events meeting.
Yep.
In the next couple weeks, and then maybe have a second one and invite Shannon.
Yep.
Sure. Before we have our
before the October.
Things always end up taking longer than we think, and I'd rather err on the side of being too prepared.
Agreed. If we in order to do more this year, we're gonna need to do more preparation soon. So
it'll be easier in subsequent years for sure. But I'd rather, okay.
I mean, it was good to know that even Cece was talking at the night market about, we should probably get around to planning that whole tree lighting thing. So, I mean, obviously it's something that they've done before, but still, there's still a lot of logistics to go through in a few months. Okay, great. So, I don't necessarily. We're not looking to do any spending, and I think otherwise, we as the subcommittee, we've already got the go ahead, the empowerment to do any meetings or contacts. I don't think there's actually any voting or empowerment that needs to be done this month. So I've got enough for us to take to our next meeting, and we look forward to we will definitely Amanda and Kevin work with Arts to see where we can start bringing in some of the art part. Okay, great. Well, we will call that the end of subcommittee reports. I believe that the next piece of agenda item is new business, and that is we've got Mr. Brian Negley, who has been joining us for the past 3 months and expressed the willingness to join us on the board here. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and see if there is a motion to hold a vote to bring Brian Negley onto the board of the Central Beaverton NAC.
I can move. What is the official motion, Tom? Is it to increase the size of the board and invite Brian, or
no? We just need to have the election to onboard a new board member.
So just create a motion to say that again.
To
create a new board member.
Yeah.
And do we need to specifically call out Brian's name in the motion?
I would say that a motion to elect Brian Negley to the board of the Central Beaverton NAC would be a good motion.
I will make a motion to that we accept Brian Negley. Did I say that right, Brian? Hopefully, as a board member of the Central Beaverton Neighborhood Association Committee.
All right.
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
First of all, Brian, I'm really excited that you're interested. Second of all, this is a process-oriented question about like I thought the process was somebody has to attend 3 meetings.
3 in a row. And at the end of the 3rd meeting, they can be elected to the board. And this is Brian's 3rd meeting.
Oh, nice. Okay, Brian, I must have been oblivious to your presence.
Yeah, this is number 3.
Okay, cool. I would love to just hear a little bit of your background before voting, if that's okay, if you just want to do a quick summary of yourself.
Sure.
Before we do that, can we at least have a second to the motion and then go into discussion? Because I think that's how we.
Somebody's parliamentary procedure.
Yeah, I think, and we can go into like any questions or discussion.
Okay, then I'll second.
Brilliant.
Okay, now we have a second. Now you can. Sorry, Kevin.
Brian, do you want to tell us, give us another quick rundown about yourself?
Sure, happy to do that. Yeah, so some of you have heard this before, but so sorry for the repetition, but my wife and I are new to the Beaverton area. In fact, we were new to the States, new in the fact that we've lived overseas for a long time, 33 years to be exact. So that was all in Asia, Japan, Indonesia, Taiwan, and last area was mainland China. So we decided to come back just because we wanted to come back and live in the States. Our kids are also here. Our adult kids also live here, and we had a great run in Asia, but it was just for many reasons time to come home. So one of the things I wanted to do in returning here was look for avenues to participate in community because that's something that's more difficult overseas. And so this opportunity just came by just kind of reaching out and talking to various people. And I was introduced to the Beaverton NAC, joined a few times, found it very interesting. But at the same time, to be honest, a lot of it's, if not all of it, is quite new to me. But I'm eager to learn and eager to look for ways to participate. And so that's why I've joined. I do find it very interesting. Maybe more specific about my background. So I was for many years in market research / market intelligence. You may have heard of a company called Nielsen. They are an American company. So I was with them for not all of it, for most of my overseas stint, 20 some odd years just to put a number on it. And then did some other things overseas as well. So that's kind of a quick synopsis of my background, if that provides a little color to who I am and why I'm interested in joining. Questions certainly welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. And now that you actually said some of that, I do remember you sharing some of that before. So
okay,
the pieces are falling into place.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Any other questions or comments for Brian? Okay, well, we have a board member up for election. All those in favor of Brian joining us on the board, say yay or aye or nay, or otherwise indicate positive or negative. And you are unanimously on the board. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We are now a board of 9 with a quorum of 5. So
yeah, that's the only thing I was going to mention is let us know if for some reason you can't make a meeting or something, just because that can affect quorum. And if we don't have at least 5 people here, we can't actually officially vote for things, which is okay. It's not on one person, it's on us all. It's just an important reminder. And second, I'm really glad you're here. It's great that people in the neighborhood show up, and you're way more than welcome. So it's an awesome group, and we're grateful to have you.
Thank you.
I second that from the neighborhood office.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Brian has really he's been eager to find out more about the NAC, and as well as the city. I know you already contacted the mayor's office about potentially helping out with the nonprofit incubator. Or
yeah, right.
So he's jumping in with both feet. So it's great to have you. And
thank you.
Yeah, you're good. Right now, we've got a lot of different subcommittees that I think you've heard about. You're welcome to join any or all of them, because there is not a quorum on any of them. So that's good. up our
Okay.
forum number.
Franziska,
we can put the same.
are there any resources for new board members that we should get to Brian, like a packet or something? I remember that when I first did this many, many years ago.
Yeah, so I have said, Miles, you need to make sure that Brian gets properly onboarded.
Okay.
So I do believe, I think I saw an email where Miles
Yes.
had reached out to you.
Yeah, we're gonna speak later this week. So thank you for setting that up.
Huh.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
You
But
never
of
talked
course-
to me.
Well, you can tell Miles that. You can say, Miles, what the heck? Later.
I just tell people to read the bylaws and show up, and that's
Well,
really
the
all I need to do.
bylaws, even as somebody who
Boring.
oversees like bylaws processes, they don't necessarily tell you all the things you need to know about how
Also,
to be a
they're-
board member.
Also, I got to say the bylaws are a little inconsistent with what I think amongst NACs. There need to be some edits.
As somebody who's going through a process to update 6 board bylaws at one time, I get it. So anyway, the bylaws are great, don't get me wrong. But yeah, Brian, we have lots and lots of resources to help get
Great.
you set up. And like I've always said, I'm here to be a resource and a liaison for you to the city. So anytime you have any questions, whether it's about Central Beaverton NAC or anything else, I'm just an email or a phone call away.
Okay, great. Thanks.
And Brian, as you heard, like we're not particular. We follow the rules, but we're not like perfect in any means. I asked how to do the motion. Like it's a pretty laid back group. Like there's a really long curve on like, just be comfortable, ask questions, whatever. Don't worry about interrupting any of that. Like we're a friendly group, so just make yourself comfortable. Whatever question you have. For sure.
We have not reached either the size of group of meeting or the contentiousness of meeting to really require strict Robert's rules of order observation. So ostensibly we do follow them, but yeah, I'm no parliamentarian, that's for sure. Anyway.
I'm not supposed to have favorites, right? Just like you're not supposed to have favorites as kids, like of your kids. But
sort of.
This may be my favorite NAC. I'm just saying, Brian, you just joined like what might be my favorite.
Join the right one.
It may be your favorite.
I mean,
it might be my favorite too.
I'm not going to say that Miles said, Franziska, you should take over CBNAC because they're easy. But that's my understanding. Now, I don't know if I want to feel like I'm the easy NAC.
You guys have all the things going on, man. You ain't easy.
That's what it is.
I was gonna say I'm trying to get a rep with the city government. I'm already infamous in engineering, so I'm just waiting to anyway.
Speaking of engineering, okay, next new business item. I mentioned in the chat.
Yes.
Like the bicycle traffic intersections. I gave Tina Nguyen. Thom, I gave her your email address.
Right.
Kevin, I gave her your email address. John, I gave her your email address. Did she actually reach out to you guys?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, did you not?
I haven't been on any.
I'm so sorry.
I haven't been on
We're
any
working with her.
emails.
She's made some changes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I had no idea. So
yeah, I've got a bad news update for her. Like the Murray one doesn't work now again.
6th and Murray.
Yeah. It worked a little bit, and now it worked when you and I wrote at the same time, and now it doesn't work for one person again. So.
Yeah, it's never worked for me as a single. Supposedly it's
we were there.
Yeah,
and it worked for us when there were no cars in it, but not with one rider. So I've got to we're back. I have the times and everything that I've been saving. So
yeah,
But she is in touch with us. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, good. I just wanted to confirm because I never got the circle back that she had actually reached out to you. So I'm very glad that she did.
Yeah, and she painted a bicycle on Allen and whatever that intersection was, like heading north. There's a little bicycle next to it's kind of cute. I almost took a photo of it.
Oh, what, King or 130?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like heading north and across Allen. And it's actually outside of the area, so I would not have known to wait there. Yeah.
Was that another one of the radar actuated ones?
I think it's a camera one.
Yeah, they're, I don't know.
Yeah.
Coming from a sensors and instrumentation background, I really have some questions about their testing and methodologies. Anyway, Well, we've lost all of our attendees, and we're just the board and LuLú, who has stuck with us as always. Great. Well, the floor is open if anybody's got comments or announcements or anything else about the neighborhood that's going on that hasn't come up previously.
I hope that y'all notice that I put in the chat, the Voters Forum video is up. So watch it. So
way to go.
Anyway, that's what I was dealing with while I was like on the phone with Lanny while y'all were talking. So it's up, it's there, watch it, learn, vote, you know the drill.
Thank you for looking out for not only Central Beaverton, but the entire city.
Wait, maybe we're not her favorite.
You're still totally my favorite.
You gotta do the things.
Air quotes. Anybody else who's along the Erickson main sewer project corridor been adversely affected?
We're on the main, yeah. We just hear the construction all day.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I didn't know. And then Rachel's next to you guys.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure how much they've.
I was just laughing, Rachel, because we have like the same room. So
I know. Yeah. Yours is much better decorated. Ours has patio cushions in the back of me. I did have speaking of that, is the construction, maybe John and Quinn know this since it's like right behind our houses, is the construction that's happening like on that bike pathway behind our houses, like is that related to Erickson also, or is that just totally different?
Yeah, so the current, you can, if you just Google I can get the link if you want. It's CIP 6107. There we go. And it's realigning and upsizing the sewer main that's going down that, and as well as doing some water main upgrades. I don't think there's any water main stuff that's going on Main Street, not to confuse things anymore than they already are. They are doing so part of that sewer main was running down Erickson Creek, like in the creek bed itself. My sewer lateral tied in directly under the creek bed, which apparently was a really great idea in I think the 50s when they put the 40s or 50s when they actually put the sewers in. So they're realigning that out of the creek bed, and then they're just upsizing the rest of it. And they're doing most of it with pipe bursting. So the actual retrenching should be minimal, but I know they're disrupting the path. I was talking with the project engineer today because one of the things that came up at the public meeting and the engineering meeting before that was, since they are redoing the path, and they were going to be working on 5th, if there was going to be any improvement of the pedestrian crossing at 5th along that pathway.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
He didn't have an answer for me now because that's kind of like all the way at the end of their project. But I haven't seen anything from engineering about what the actual improvements to the pathway are going to be, other than just it's going to be repaved because a good portion of it was dug up. So he's going to check on that, and he did mention that the city does have their own lighting contractor who's going to come back and do lighting along whichever parts of the project there are that are affected. He didn't have an answer for me on that. He was going to check. And I know I'll hear back to him because his crew is going to be replacing my sewer lateral tomorrow. So, so I'll have an answer.
Cool.
But yeah, their scope for that was going to be finishing sometime winter of next year. But I know they were scrambling to get a lot of the stuff done on the north end of the project because they were not expecting to have 1.5 inches of rain coming Friday and Saturday, which they are. So a lot of loose soil out there that they were trying to wrangle. So, yes, Kevin, what's going on?
Just a reminder that I'd love to talk about traffic calming measures.
Oh yeah, do it. Okay, next meeting.
Not right now. I'm
Okay.
too tired right now to have a
Okay.
productive conversation.
I will put in some time on the agenda
Thank you.
to do that, because yeah, that'll be a good thing to discuss, because I know that there were several members that around here that had some traffic calming projects that failed as a result of the archaic voting process that
Yeah.
can now be readdressed. Some of the trouble areas will hopefully be addressed by the loop, but definitely not all of them. So yeah, so we need some traffic projects. Cool. Anybody else have any announcements or anything going on?
I mean, it's not an announcement, but you guys rock.
I mean, shout it out loud. That's an announcement. Thank you for supporting us and being such an awesome city liaison, who can totally rock the microphone introducing various acts at a night market, which is very busy. If anybody didn't get the chance to go down and see it, you missed it. It was pretty cool.
Brian, if you didn't get the chance to experience it in person, as somebody who's coming from somebody who traveled in Southeast Asia for like a half a year and somebody who's lived in Asia extensively, definitely go to the night market next year. It'll really resonate for somebody who's really liked night markets in Asia.
I was there.
I was
Oh, you
gonna
were
say, I
there.
think
I was there. It was
he
great.
volunteered.
It was.
for-
I can attest to your statements. It was great.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's different from the night market that I used to see in Richmond, BC, because there's no hurricane potatoes. And there's also a shockingly low number of very cheap iPhone cases for sale.
As somebody who lived in and was born in Richmond, BC, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, good. That's the only night market that I know. Anyway. Well, thank you for indulging this frivolity. And thank you all for joining us this evening. And oh, look at that. It's 9 o'clock. So despite my desire to have everybody out early, it's still 9 o'clock. So we're adjourned.